You know what I'm saying? And if thugging is gonna make me $1 million, because it just got me platinum, then that's what I got to do.
Yeah, I'm about to run back off my. I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me.
Tupac went from broke to millionaire overnight after the release of his hit song, I Get Around. This was the beginning of his epic run to become one of music's most legendary artists. He transformed the hip-hop industry and made some of rap's most popular songs of all time, resulting in a lot of money being made. Tupac knew just how successful he was getting with music. He would begin bragging about how many copies he would sell.
They sell records, we sell records. Well, I guess you could call that selling records. We sell large amounts of records, and they sell a few records.
However, Tupac started earning the most money ever in his career during the height of the West versus East Coast rap beef when he would drop his hit song, Hit 'Em Up. Within the first 24 hours of the song being released, he was able to purchase a $1.5 million mansion in Calabasas, California, spreading across 6,000 square feet. The home came with 6 bedrooms and many luxuries that Tupac could finally enjoy. Because throughout his childhood, his family struggled financially. So once he was able to own a nice home for himself and his family, he was incredibly proud, and he shared just how he was covering everyone's bills in his family.
I'm not thugging for me, I'm thugging for my family. I pay all the bills. You know what I'm saying? I feed my whole family. Wrong or right, I do. And I can't stop. You know what I'm saying? And if thugging is gonna make me $1 million, because it just got me platinum, then that's what I got to do constantly.
But this wasn't enough for Tupac because he bought his family another home in Atlanta that they could all share. This one was primarily to help out his friends and family to have a place whenever they needed, but also for whenever Tupac was visiting the East Coast, and it allowed him to have somewhere safe to stay. Tupac didn't want to be the guy who bought 20-bedroom mansions because he understood what it was like to grow up poor, even though he was the biggest music artist at that time.
Look, okay, I know you're rich. I know you got $40 billion, but can you just keep it to one house? You only need one house. And if you only got 2 kids, can you just keep it to 2 rooms? I mean, why have 52 rooms and you know there's somebody with no room? It just don't make sense to me. And then these people celebrate Christmas. They got big trees, huge trees. Everybody got gifts, and it's nice.
However, once Tupac sadly passed, his mother would take over a lot of the business and his estate. She would go on to purchase a 50-acre property in North Carolina, which, based off what Tupac said in an interview, it went directly against what he preached. But one of the most interesting expenses during the height of his music career was the amount of money that he was spending at recording studios. The cost was so bad that Tupac had death row footing the bill for Can-Am Recording Studios in California, where they had 2 rooms booked 24/7. That way Tupac could show up at any time and record. The times have really changed from now versus then, where you can buy a pretty good microphone just at a local store, but Tupac also knew this at the time. He was extremely grateful for the unlimited studio time, but he didn't realize how much it was costing because records show that Tupac actually had less than $200,000 in his bank account when he had passed away. But it's possible that Tupac was okay with the cost of having a safe recording studio to make music in, because when he recorded at a studio in New York on November 30th, 1994, Tupac was actually robbed and even hit by a firearm in a surprise ambushing, where Tupac would later speak about the incident during an interview where he would hint towards Diddy being the one behind it.
I believe so. I do believe so. I have proved things that I could say that will back up my claim, but this is not for the world to know about. You know what I mean? It's between me and him, and only he knows. So every time he say it didn't happen, or that's the only thing that made this become an issue to everybody. I was acting. Who gets shot 5 times in acts? Oh, I didn't get shot 5 times in their vision. I only got shot once because they found the bug. The police found him, but now they the cops. Now they doing detective work.
Which is a weird coincidence, as new evidence in 2026 shows Diddy paid to have Tupac dealt with multiple times, but more on that later. Because during the ambushing where Tupac was affected by a firearm, it was actually this gold and diamond crown chain that he purchased for $30,000 that saved his life. It turned out the crown pendant was actually dented from one of the men who used a firearm towards Tupac. It stopped around that that would have ended Tupac's life. But ever since that time he got robbed and had firearms pulled on him, Tupac stuck to California studios, and Suge Knight would rent him out 24/7 for him. One time he even did a little tour of one of the studios where he would speak about creating his newest One Nation album. This was actually supposed to unite the East and West Coast rappers all in one album, but it didn't really work.
We're working on a new project called One Nation. It's gonna be an East Coast, West Coast collaboration. So you got
East Coast, West Coast.
Yep. It's gonna be a collaboration.
But these are where the expensive items completely change. Tupac had an obsession with purchasing jewelry. One of his most iconic pieces was his golden crown ring that he bought for $100,000. This is customized with rubies and diamonds all over it, while having an inscription writing Hawk and Dada 1996, which was to represent his relationship with his girlfriend at the time named Kadada Jones. This piece became a famous piece in the hip-hop history after Tupac passed, and the current owner of it right now is actually Drake, where he would have purchased it during an auction for over $1 million. But even more interesting was Tupac's 24-karat gold glasses that he bought for $40,000, which at the time is a lot of money. He would often use these to flex in any public appearances, but this too was bought by another rapper in the industry, as Gucci Mane was gifted the pair of glasses during Christmas time.
Now, Betty said she got me these glasses. They're vintage that Tupac actually wore.
Turn them around.
Baby, these Tupac actual glasses, he put them on his face.
And they gold.
They hard.
Almost everything that Tupac owned went up in value when he passed. Even the simple nose ring that he'd wear ended up selling for over 20 grand itself. However, Tupac's most famous chain that he would wear was the classic Death Row Records chain. He wanted to pay respect to Suge and the rest of Death Row for signing him because he loved being a part of the label at the time. Sure, they were taking a ton of money from his music, but he'd appreciate the things that he did for him as a label. Tupac would continue buying more generic gold and diamond jewelry, just like this Cuban link chain, diamond earrings, and even gold rings. But when it came to his watch collection, this is where it gets crazy, because Tupac's favorite watch brand was Rolex. He would purchase a base Rolex Submariner with a black dial, while also picking up a golden Rolex Day-Date with a green dial and diamond bezel, which at the time was extremely rare. Tupac really liked the Day-Date so much that he even picked up a second one with diamonds around the band and a blue dial. Overall, his Rolexes costed him over $150,000. But the craziest part about Tupac's jewelry collection is there's supposed to be a lot more. But Suge Knight stole a majority of this man's money. Even Tupac's own father talked about it during an interview, reading, quote, Tupac's biological father says if he would have been a better father, Tupac would still be alive today. He never would have trusted Suge Knight. But because he wasn't there, he looked at Suge like a father figure, saying, quote, Suge stole all of his money.
Well, Suge Knight. Right. This motherfucker, I feel so bad. I gotta live the rest of my life realizing that maybe if I was a better father, he might not have gotten that situation. He might have had enough wisdom to know that this motherfucker is nothing but a scoundrel. But he looked up to him like a father. Then to find out a year, 8 months later, that he's cheating him out of all of his money. That's the final betrayal.
But his car collection is where he spent a majority of his money. Starting with his favorite ride of all time, Tupac bought a Rolls-Royce Corniche. He was constantly seen out in public with the ride. Even in the 90s, Rolls-Royces were at the top of the car world, but with a very limited supply, you had to be one of the richest men alive to get one.
Tupac, what car are you going?
Songs. I got the song coming out. I'm tight to come out.
Okay, all right. Security's moving us on. How does it go?
It's a clear show of wealth for whoever buys a Rolls Royce, and Tupac was very happy to show it off, showing that he made it in life. But despite Tupac thinking that he bought it and fully owned it, it was later revealed that after his passing, his mother couldn't even claim the car because the registration was under Suge Knight's name, which further shows how bad Suge Knight was at taking Tupac's money and wealth from him, as mentioned by Tupac's own father. People around Tupac were constantly using him for his money as well, because when Tupac had purchased a brand new Range Rover for 80 grand, one of his friends named Hussein borrowed the ride without permission and ended up totaling the ride. Of course, with Tupac's generosity, he didn't charge his friend or even make him pay it back, but that was the last time that they ever spoke. But one of Tupac's well-known cars was his Mercedes 500 SL that he bought for $70,000. He loved riding around in this car. He even mentioned it in a couple lyrics of songs, particularly the song Picture Me Rollin', where he would rap, "Picture me rollin' in my 500 Benz."
Y'all got to back off my. Back off my. Yeah, I'm about to run. Back off my.
However, Tupac's music videos were the main spot where he would love to show off his new cars. Because in his music video for To Live in LA, Tupac would buy a 1995 Jaguar XJS for $75,000. In that same video, he would also share a classic 1961 Chevy Impala. He was a major car lover, and he wasn't afraid to spend money on them, because he would also buy a Hummer H1. But sadly, this would be the last ever car that he would purchase. He ended up completely customizing it to his liking, and he only owned the car for roughly 30 days before he was targeted in Las Vegas.
An anonymous bidder just spent a small fortune for the late Tupac Shakur's vehicle. The rapper's customized Hummer sold for just over $337,000. The Hummer H1 was personally customized by Tupac himself.
However, Tupac will always be known for one specific car. This would be none other than his blacked out BMW 750. While purchasing it originally for $40,000 and having it at his daily drive, he put a lot of money into this car. This car, though, would get the most attention because it was the car that he was targeted in, where he would later pass. Because on September 7th, 1996, Tupac went to Las Vegas with Suge Knight to watch a Mike Tyson match. While leaving the venue, he would get into a brawl with a Crip member known as Baby Lane.
Suge Knight and their entourage went to the Mike Tyson the MGM Grand. Keefe D and his nephew, Orlando Lane Anderson, and two of their friends were also there. Keefe D told LAPD Detective Greg Kading more than a decade ago, in a proffer that couldn't be used against him, the shooting was retaliation after Tupac jumped Orlando and up at the casino. Surveillance cameras recorded the fight. Tupac was angry that Lane had stolen his necklace years prior in Compton. Tupac, Suge Knight, and the entourage left the casino quickly.
But how Baby Lane knew that Tupac would be here leaving the venue at this time was interesting, considering Tupac also had zero security on this night when Suge Knight comes from a security background.
First of all, you seen what happened. Suge understands who he's dealing with, or what that just happened with, right?
Yeah.
I would have off the top shut my artist down. And if I would have shut him down, I would have moved him in a way to where could nobody get to him. Sure, you know what you doing, don't do. Like, it ain't no security on it.
In new evidence in 2026, it would reveal that Baby Lane was actually a scout, making sure that Tupac was at the location while Keefe D wrote up how to take him out. Because when Suge Knight and Tupac later in the night got in the BMW to head over to a nearby club, Keefe D would pull up right beside him, where him and his goons would do the job.
Knew about Tupac's concert at the Club 662. Members, including Orlando and Keefe D, jumped in their white Cadillac and started cruising the strip looking for the offender. Before long, they finally spotted Tupac's caravan. At the intersection of East Flamingo Boulevard and Koval Lane, the white Cadillac pulled alongside the black BMW with Suge on the driver and Tupac on the passenger seats. The back window of the Cadillac rolled twice in the chest, once in the arm, once in the thigh.
Due to that situation, it makes the today value of that BMW over $2 million because of the history behind it. But also because of the new evidence, we know who paid Keefe D to do the crime, where he would end up snitching during a police interrogation that Diddy paid him $1 million.
On all four of those occasions, there's San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, and Vegas. Which ones do you actually talk to Puffy at?
Every one.
Every one of them. Which of those four is it when you talk to him about Tupac?
It was really about both of them, either one. It was
Tupac and Suge, you mean?
Yeah.
Then just recently, we would see Keefe D, the man hired to do the crime, get arrested on live television while exposing a very odd secret, which closes the Tupac case.
Charged in one of the most notorious cold case in modern American history, and this morning, the man known as Keefe D is breaking his silence from behind bars.
For nearly 30 years ago, became one of the nation's most notorious unsolved.
Hey Keith, Metro Police, come over here.
Then in 2023, a breakthrough when prosecutors charged this man with ordering the hit, the only person arrested for Shakur's, who now tells ABC News authorities have the wrong man.
I'm innocent.